Okay, 7.3. Now the difference between 7.2 and 7.3 is 7.2 was all like yes or no questions. Is the moon made of green cheese? Are you going to support this guy in the next election? Everybody's got to answer that with a yes or no, okay? But a numbers question, how tall are you? How many bicycles do you own? Whatever, people got to answer that with a number. So this is all about numbers questions, okay, which is why this is going to be relevant to your project and why I made you do numbers questions so we could do numbers. Okay, 7.2 was yes or no questions. Yes or no questions is one prop Z interval. Numbers questions is Z interval. Okay, so great. Well, let's skip all that preliminary stuff. I mean, there is a formula. It looks a little bit like the last formula, except it had kind of a P and a Q over that there. But this doesn't have that. Okay, I didn't use that. I used, like, doing the method in the calculator. Okay, so where did they put that? Stat, tests, Z interval. Should I write this down? Stat, tests, Z interval. Remember, it was stat, test, one prop Z interval last time. So I go stat, test, and skip past all that first stuff. It's like choice number 7, Z interval. Test isn't until chapter 8. Okay, so Z interval. Then it says data or stats. Data would be if I had an actual list of numbers, which I don't, because I've got somebody gave me X bar and some sort of standard deviation. I am not using stats here. I'm not using data here. I'm using stats. Somebody already did one variable stats for me, so I'm going to leave it on stats. So if yours isn't on stats, use a little arrow, highlight over the stats, and then hit enter to make it stick. All right, then underneath that it says sigma, 1.5. Now, in the problem, it says something like, from past studies, sigma is known to be, if you've done past studies, why are you doing this study? Okay, it's really unrealistic to actually have sigma. It's kind of a contrived thing in this section, but in real life, no one ever happens by and says, oh, by the way, sigma happens to be. So you usually end up using your own SX that you got when you did one variable stats instead of using sigma, because you never know that. All right. Anyway, it told me that in the problem. X bar. Oh, it told me that in the problem, 22.9. And N is 32. And sea level, 0.90. Okay. And calculate. And then it gives me some sort of parentheses, so I write that on my paper. 22.464, comma, 23.336, close parentheses. And then I got to do that error every single time you do one of these problems. Just go ahead with that big minus little thing. 23.336 minus 22.464, and then remember to divide by 2. 0.436. Okay, problem done. All right, didn't use the formula at all. I just went ahead and did this little thing in the calculator. Let's make some room over here for this one. Okay, different problem now. Read carefully through the problem. I got sigma. I got the mean. Okay, so I go stat, test, Z interval. If you accidentally end up in Z test instead, it starts asking you for things you don't have. It asks for way more information than this right here. All right, so I'm doing stats. Sigma this time is apparently known to be 0.62. X bar is 98.2. N is 106. Sea level, 0.95. And calculate. In my paper, I write 98.082, comma, 98.318. E equals 98.318 minus 98.082. Enter. Divide by 2. Plus or minus 0.118. Okay, now the third problem down here. Far from normal. Somebody went to the trouble to type the words far from normal on the page, so you figure that's got to count for something. Okay, if something is not a bell curve, it's like way right shifted or left shifted, the theory doesn't work out as well. And when you hear sooner or later everything is normal, yes, you can do it, but in these sooner or later, they mean later. They mean n has to be bigger than 30. I can get away with all sorts of things if n is bigger than 30. That's why I made you do 30 for your for your project. Okay, n is 25 is not enough. If this is far from normal and n is 25, and I have it typed in the notes, cannot be done with the methods in this section. Okay. Good, I don't even have to do this problem. Nah, that's not going to happen on the test or anything, but as long as n is 30, you just go ahead, put things into z interval, and you get the answer. If n is less than 30, you go, Nyeh. Okay, well, there's a caveat on that. If n is less than 30, there might be some things you can do, but that would be section 7.4.